Flying geese are kind of like ants. You never see just one of them. This block is used in a lot of patterns in a lot of different ways. I'm going to show you some of the things I consider when picking out quilting designs for those blocks. Hey, I'm Angela Walters from Quilting is My Therapy, and welcome to the Free Motion Challenge Quilting Along. This is a free video series where I'm helping to answer that most mystical question: how do I quilt it? And in this video, I'm going to show you a couple of my favorite designs for the flying geese block. And this is the video where you realize how lazy I really am. That does not make me sound so good. Well, we don't have to say lazy. Let's call it quilting efficient. What I mean is I pick designs based on where I need to go. So if I'm looking at a block and I need to come back to my starting point, I'm going to pick a design that does that. If I need to start at one point and end at the other, I'm going to pick a design that does that. And by the time we're done, you'll see how you too can quickly work through those flying geese blocks. Let me show you what I mean. If you've watched any of my videos, you know I love feathers. In these flying geese blocks, if I want to put a feather in there, which, I mean, let's face it, of course I do, I know that I can't fit a whole feather in that small space. Instead of quilting the whole feather, I'm just going to quilt half. And I'm going to use the seam of the block as my spine and quilt them from there. That's going to really help it fit that irregular shape and also do that all-important thing, help me move to the opposite side of my block. Using the seam at the bottom as my spine and extending the feather into that irregular triangular shape. These petals are quilted in groups of two. One petal that goes out, traveling back and around, and quilting the second petal so that it comes back into the spine. And once I'm done with the feather, I can find myself at the other side of the triangle, and I can do the same thing. So I can continue my way along the quilt. I love using a ruler to give me a barrier when I'm quilting along a straight line such as this. Since I have the white and the red fabric so close to each other, if I hold my ruler over the white fabric, that's going to help keep my quilting from skating over the edge of that seam and really showing up. Like so. I just love how that feather starts at one side, ends at the other, and gives my flying geese block a beautiful curvy look. But now that I'm at the end of the block, I want to go ahead and quilt this other triangle before I move on. So I need a design that's going to come back to the starting point. If you want to add a more geometric look to your quilt, you can do some dot-to-dot quilting. Now this was a design in my Free Motion Challenge Quilting Along dot-to-dot quilting, where we create these wedges that come back to the starting point. Quilt a line that angles out towards the outer edge, echoes the side of the block about an inch or so, and goes back to the starting point, making a wedge shape. Then I can just keep adding more of those wedges until the whole triangle is filled in. And then once I'm finished with those wedges, I'm perfectly placed to quilt more feathers in the next red triangle. If you've watched any of my videos, you know that I love stitching in the ditch. I think it's probably because I'm a little weird that way. Before I move on, I go ahead and stitch along the seams of the block, then fill it in. What's awesome about this wedge design is that the lines that they all come back to can be anywhere you want it to be. On the pink block, it happened to be the top corner, but on the red block, I'm going to make it one of the side corners. So now I have two of my blocks quilted with those dot-to-dot designs, and to really draw all those lines to the same point, I'm going to do the same in my next triangle, having all the lines radiate from that same point. This is the perfect way to draw attention to an area of the quilt that you want to show off. This is not the perfect way to hide a part of the quilt that you're not a fan of. So be sure to use this in areas that you really love. I love the curvy look of the feather next to that dot-to-dot geometric shape. The contrast really helps to highlight the two different triangles in the piecing. Are you ready for your challenge? If you're quilting along with me on the custom panel for this challenge, quilt the flying geese blocks with the design or designs that you prefer. And if you can't remember exactly how the designs go together, don't worry, I have a downloadable PDF with quilting diagrams and tip sheets. You can find the information about that in the description box below. Hey, have you joined our Free Motion Challenge Quilting Along Facebook group? If you want to encourage other quilters, share what you're working on, and talk about all things machine quilting related, I hope you'll join over there and see what's going on. Because quilting is so much more fun when you do it with others. Thank you so much for watching. Happy quilting!